Forget everything you think you know about Ashton Kutcher.
I was around Ashton Kutcher and Diddy before, speaking about Brittany Murphy. I don't think I ever told this story. While he was married to Demi Moore, he was still sneaking around seeing Brittany Murphy.
And in 2019, during an interview when he was asked about Diddy's parties, he said, "Well, there's a lot I can't tell. Considering what Diddy's been arrested for, we might just have an idea."
You got Ashton Kutcher in love with Mila Kunis, that 70s show. Then they break up for absolutely no reason after he starts hanging out with Diddy. Then he marries Demi Moore. He replenished himself in inappropriate things with their daughters.
The tears he shed in front of Congress? A performance. The celebrated humanitarian work? A perfect cover. The lovable, goofy persona? A carefully crafted mask to hide the man who was really behind it. For decades, he has hidden in plain sight, but the whispers from Hollywood's darkest corners are now becoming a roar.
In 2001, Ashton's girlfriend at the time, Ashley, was found unalive. He had a date with her that same night.
What really happened the night his girlfriend was found in a pool of blood? And why is his alibi so stomach-churning it defies belief? Why did he risk his entire reputation to beg a judge for leniency for a convicted predator? And what did he witness inside Diddy's infamous parties that was so vile he admitted on camera he could never speak of it?
Eyewitnesses are finally talking. A secret, damning phone call from the night of the murder is being exposed. And a rumored doomsday file seized by the feds reportedly has Ashton's name written all over it. The system that protected him is collapsing, and tonight we connect the dots on a chilling pattern of behavior that will make your skin crawl. You are about to see the real Ashton Kutcher, and it's not a hero. The first major fissure in Ashton's flawless reputation appeared not in connection to Diddy, but to another one of his longtime friends, his That 70s Show co-star, Danny Masterson. When Masterson was convicted on 2 counts of forcible intercourse and sentenced to 30 years to life in prison, Hollywood was shaken. But the real shockwave came when it was revealed that Ashton and his wife, Mila Kunis, had written character letters to the judge, pleading for leniency. The public backlash was instantaneous and brutal. How could a man who built a global foundation to protect victims publicly advocate for a convicted predator? The hypocrisy was staggering. Actress Christina Ricci captured the public's fury perfectly. Without naming them, she posted a scathing message saying, quote, "Sometimes people we love and admire do terrible things. To discredit victims is a crime. People we know as good guys can be predators. It's tough to accept, but we have to." The message was crystal clear. In the face of overwhelming criticism, Ashton and Mila released a somber, heavily managed apology video claiming they were simply asked by Masterson's family to speak to the character of the man they knew for 25 years. But the damage was done. For the first time, the public saw a disturbing crack in the hero's armor, revealing a man whose loyalties seemed dangerously misplaced. But this shocking lack of judgment wasn't an isolated incident. It was part of a pattern that stretched back decades, starting with a night of unimaginable horror. Long before he was a global philanthropist, Ashton Kutcher was an up-and-coming actor whose life was entangled in a gruesome crime that has haunted him ever since. The story involves his then-girlfriend, a 22-year-old fashion student named Ashley Ellerin. On the night of February 21st, 2001, the two had plans to attend a Grammys after-party. According to Ashton's official court testimony, he spoke to her on the phone that evening but ended up running late. When he finally arrived at her Hollywood home at 10:45 p.m., the lights were on but no one answered the door. He peered through a side window and saw what he described as spilled red wine pooled on the carpet. Assuming she was upset with him for being late and had gone out without him, he simply left. The next morning, Ashley's roommate discovered her body. She had been brutally stabbed 47 times. The spilled wine Ashton saw was her blood. For years, this was the accepted story, a tragic case of being in the wrong place at the wrong time. But that story is now being challenged by a far more sinister version of events. Rumors and insider claims allege that Ashton didn't just peer through the window. They suggest he actually entered the apartment, saw the full, horrifying crime scene, and panicked. Instead of calling 911, his first instinct was allegedly to call his management team to figure out how to handle the PR nightmare. This version of the story, if true, paints a picture not of an unlucky bystander, but of a man whose first thought in the face of a bloodbath was his own career. His story of mistaking a gruesome murder scene for a wine spill has been heavily scrutinized, but the questions about his character don't stop there. In fact, some of his own words are now coming back to haunt him. In the harsh light of the Diddy and Masterson scandals, old clips of Ashton Kutcher have resurfaced, and they are deeply unsettling. Moments that were once dismissed as edgy humor now look like massive red flags. One video that ignited a firestorm was an episode of his show Punk'd, where he introduces his target, a then 15-year-old Hilary Duff. Looking into the camera, he grins and says, "Hilary Duff is one of the girls that we're all waiting for to turn 18. In today's climate, the comment is seen as predatory and disturbing. In another interview, he and Mila Kunis laughingly recount their very first on-screen kiss on That 70s Show.
He points out that he was 19 and she was only 14. He even admits on camera, "I was thinking this is slightly illegal." But the most damning accusations come from Danny Masterson's victims, Chrissy Bixler. In a chilling Instagram post aimed directly at Ashton, she wrote, "Dear Ashton, I know the secret your role model keeps for you, one that will end you. Did you forget I was there? You were on speaker that night you called Danny on February 21st, 2001. That's the exact night Ashley Ellerin was murdered." Bixler ended her message with a bone-chilling statement. "In my opinion, you're just as sick as your mentor." These disturbing moments created a trail of red flags, but they all seem to lead to one central, powerful figure in his life.
Ashton Kutcher's friendship with Sean Diddy Combs wasn't a casual red carpet acquaintance. It was a deep, bizarre, and long-standing bond that placed him directly in the epicenter of Diddy's infamous world. Ashton himself once described their relationship as bizarre, but that didn't stop them from training for marathons together and being fixtures at Diddy's notoriously wild penthouse parties. Their connection was so significant that when Time magazine named Ashton one of the 100 most influential people, it was Diddy who wrote his tribute. In it, Diddy showered him with praise, calling Ashton the cool and smooth yin to his loud and bold yang. He didn't describe a friend. He described a fellow mogul, a partner in reshaping media. The friendship was so comfortable that during a 2019 appearance on the show Hot Ones, the host asked Ashton for his best Diddy party story. Ashton laughed, paused, and then said, "Wow, I've got a lot I can't tell." He repeated it, shaking his head. "I can't tell that one either."
At the time, it felt like a playful jab at a friend's wild lifestyle, but now, with federal agents investigating Diddy for TR, racketeering, and a host of other heinous crimes, that comment feels less like a joke and more like an admission. It feels like a confirmation that Ashton saw things he knew were too risky to ever speak about publicly. Those stories Ashton couldn't tell might be darker than anyone imagined, and the key to unlocking them may lie with a mysterious young woman who suddenly appeared and then, just as suddenly, vanished.
In the midst of the 2020 pandemic, Diddy went on Instagram Live and made a truly bizarre announcement. He introduced a young, white girl named Ava as his newly adopted daughter. There was no press release, no formal introduction, just Diddy on camera, grinning as he presented this girl to the world. The entire exchange was alarming. He proudly compared his adoption of Ava to Madonna's, whose own adoptions have been mired in legal controversy. He claimed Ava had been on the streets and that Papa woke her up and brought her into his life. Sitting beside him, Ava looked visibly uncomfortable. She smiled, but it never reached her eyes. She spoke in a quiet, hesitant voice. "My name's Ava. Combs. When Diddy pushed her to tell the story of how they met, she gave a chillingly rehearsed answer. "So I was on the streets, and then Papa decided that he would like to be a caring man, so then he saw me and decided to pick me up and said to come inside and play with his kids." After that deeply strange video, Ava essentially vanished. She was gone from his social media and public life, leaving behind a wake of unanswered questions. What happened to her, and what was her true role in that house? Now, rumors are swirling that Ashton and Mila may have been involved, allegedly guiding this vulnerable young woman directly into Diddy's dangerous orbit. Ava's vanishing act is unsettling enough, but recent events suggest she may be a central victim in the federal case against Diddy, pulling Ashton directly into the line of fire. As federal agents swarmed Diddy's multi-million-dollar mansions in Los Angeles and Miami, the walls began closing in on everyone in his circle. Insiders began whispering that Ashton Kutcher, terrified of being implicated, had started cooperating with the FBI in early 2024. Sources claim his lawyers gave him a stark warning: distance yourself from Diddy completely, or risk being dragged down with him. But cutting ties now doesn't erase decades of close friendship. The most ominous rumor of all is the existence of a sealed doomsday file allegedly collected during the raids. This file is said to contain countless hours of raw video footage from the parties, signed NDAs from guests, and audio recordings of private conversations. It's a treasure trove of secrets that could allegedly ruin the careers of some of the biggest names in Hollywood, and Ashton Kutcher's name is reportedly mentioned multiple times. This entire saga has also brought up old suspicions surrounding the tragic death of actress Brittany Murphy in 2009. Brittany, who had ties to both Ashton and Diddy, died under mysterious circumstances. In her final months, she had reportedly become deeply paranoid, believing she was being watched and wanting to speak out about the dark side of the industry she knew. With a federal case looming and a potential treasure trove of evidence in hand, the perfect image Ashton Kutcher spent decades building is now threatening to shatter completely. The story of Ashton Kutcher has become a deeply troubling puzzle. Is he the celebrated hero who fights to protect the innocent, or is that a carefully constructed facade? We have a man who publicly defended a convicted sex offender. A man whose alibi on the night his girlfriend was murdered hinges on the unbelievable claim that he mistook a bloodbath for spilled wine. A man who made deeply inappropriate comments about underage girls on camera. And most damningly, a man who spent decades as the best friend and yin to the yang of Sean Diddy Combs, the man at the center of one of the darkest federal investigations in Hollywood history. The pieces are all there, forming a disturbing pattern of questionable judgment and proximity to predatory behavior. Is Ashton Kutcher just the unluckiest man in Hollywood, constantly and coincidentally surrounded by darkness? Or is his beloved public persona the greatest, most deceptive role he has ever played?